Grade 12. So now on this video we're going to discuss the geometric sequences. You need to understand what is a geometric sequence. So now a geometric sequence is a sequence formed by multiplying the previous term by a common ratio. So now we have the general term that we're going to use to calculate the geometric sequence, which is Tn. It equals to a r to the power n minus 1. So this is the general term that we're going to use, where n is the number of terms. But let's start with the value of a. So the value of a, this guy here, is your T1, which is your term number 1. So it's the first term of the sequence. Then we have R, and this R is your common ratio. This is your common ratio. So now the Tn there, the Tn that you see, it's your general term. We also have the value of n, which will be the number of terms. This will be the number of terms. Okay, all good. So now the most important thing that you need to understand here is how to find the value of r. So the value of r is going to be our common ratio r. Remember, we are saying that r is common, meaning that if we take T2 divide by T1, we need to get the same answer as T3 divided by T2. So this is how you can confirm if a sequence is a geometric sequence. Check if you have the value of r. Check if you have the common ratio. Okay, so now there are steps. That we're going to use to find the general term, which we call it the nth term. So we're going to call this the steps to find the nth term. So now on this one, step number 1, very important, is to find the common ratio. You need to find the common ratio. Make sure that you know what is the value of r. Step number 2, you need to find, use T1 as a. You're going to see when we do example here how we can follow these steps. Okay, let's call this example 1. Well, let's work on this example. Okay, so on this example, we're going to have the sequence 6, 18, 54, all the way to 118098, which will be the last term. We're going to answer the following questions. First question, we're going to use this sequence to determine the following. Number 1, let's find the next two terms. Let's find the next two terms. Right. So when we find the next two terms, remember we said that let's say it was given that this is a geometric, because we know that if we say 18 divided by 6 is the same as 54 divided by 18. So to find the next term, we're going to multiply. To find the next term, what are we going to do? We're going to multiply by the value of r. Okay, so first thing first, you need to know what is the value of r. So when you have the value of r, We said that R is the common ratio. Let's write it down. R is equals to T2 divided by T1. So if we do the substitution, remember this is your term number 1. This will be your term number 2. This will be your term number 3. So now T2 is 18. We're going to divide that by T1, which is 6. So now, therefore, we can conclude and say R is equal to 6 goes into 18 how many times? 3 times. So now we have the value of R as 3. So if we have the value of R as 3, remember that your Tn it's equals to A times R to the power n minus 1. We can do the substitution. A is the first term, which is 6. We're going to substitute that, multiply by R. Very important, please make sure that you put the value of R inside the bracket, which is 3. Put it inside the bracket and to the power n minus 1. So now that you have the general term, it will be easy for you to find T4. It will be easy for you to find term number 5 because we are looking for term number 4 and term number 5. So now, if we do this, we're going to say term 4 is equals to, meaning that on the general term, where there's n, you need to put 4. So this will be 6 multiplied by 3 to the power 4 minus 1, and punch that to the calculator. It will give you what is term number 4. So if you put this to the calculator, we know that 4 to the power 3 to the power 4 minus 1 is 3. So now if you say 6 times 3 to the power 3, that's 6 times 27, which will give us 162. You write it down. You do the same to find term number 5. So term number 5, meaning that where there's n, we need to put 5. This will be 3 to the power 5 minus 1. So you just have to punch that on the calculator and get your 486. So now you're going to conclude and say the next two terms. What will be the next two terms? It will be 162 and 486. That's how you answer this question. So now, the next question, that was question number 1. The next question, question number 2 says that, question number 2, we need to find the nth term, which is something that we already did. Determine the nth term. We need to determine the nth term, but what I need you to remember is that the nth term, they are referring to the general term. So they are referring to the general term. But now we already know what is the general term. We just have to do the substitution. Tn, using the formula Tn is equal to A times to the power R to the power n minus 1. So we just have to do our quick substitution. So if we do the substitution, we got that our Tn will be equal to, where there's A, we put 6, multiplied by, inside the bracket we have 3 to the power n minus 1. Right. So now, if we go back to algebra, let me try to, I need to say something here, which is very, very important. So now remember, in order for you to pass Maths Paper 1, it's very important that you know algebra. I'm going to explain why, because sometimes you might be required to play around these things. But if you master algebra, Paper 1 will be easy for you. Make sure that you master algebra. So now, let me show you how I can just play around this general term and put it in other form using the laws of exponents. Remember that the laws of exponents said that if we are multiplying the same base, what do we do to the exponents? We add them. So I'm going to take this law and reverse it and write it like that. So what I'm trying to say is that I can write my Tn as 6 multiplied by 3 to the power n times 3 to the power minus 1. So what I did is to reverse that law of exponent. Right. So now I know that this 6 here, I can break it down as the prime factor of 2 multiplied by 3. Why are we doing that? Because we need to have the same base. Because now can you see that we have the same base 3? So now if we do this, it can be 2. Now that the base are the same, we're going to add the exponents. So now I know that if I say the base are the same, this will be 3 to the power 1 minus 1 times 3 to the power n. So 3 to the power 1 minus 1, that is 3 to the 0 times 3 to the n. Any number to the power 0 is 1 to the power n. So this is just 3n. So now this will be 2 times 3 to the power n. So now therefore, in conclusion, the general term can be written as 2 times 3 to the power n. So now someone is asking, why? Why are you showing this? Why are you trying to confuse us? I'm not trying to confuse anyone. So now let me explain why it is important for you to know how to play around with this. So in an exam, they'll say that, show that the general term of this sequence can be written as Tn is equals to 2 to the power 3 to the power n. So if they say show that the general term of this sequence can be written in that form, those are the steps that you need to follow. Because remember, we're going to focus on the basics. Then immediately after showing you the basic, we do level 3 and 4 question, which is what we did. So another way that they can ask you this, they might say, find the general term. The question might say, find the nth term. That will be the first question, right? So the second question, they'll say hence or otherwise show that Tn is equals to Tn is equals to 2 times 3 to the power n, meaning that whatever that you find on the previous question, reduce it to that form. You need to pay attention. This is very important because the best way to be, if you want to be the best in mathematics, you need to study smart. So when you are studying, you need to understand how they can play around the whatever question that you are working on. That's the best tip I can give you to pass mathematics. Right. So this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. So now, last, they say that how many terms, this is the last question. They are asking that how many terms. So I'm going to leave you to think about this question. Then we're going to work it on our next lesson. How many terms there are in the sequence? Okay, I need you to think about it, then we're going to discuss it on our next lesson. How many terms are there in the sequence? Remember, this is our sequence. So now, looking at this sequence, I need you to take a minute and think how many terms are there, and also the best way we can find the number of terms for this sequence. This is what I need you to work on. This is how we're going to start our next lesson. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please do subscribe, share the video to your friends.